I remember I used to live in Baldwin Park.
Oh, did you?
That was not fun.
That's
because
crazy.
I used to work over here in Burbank, and so it was probably a 40-minute drive.
The 210.
I took the 210, and I would always hop in the carpool lane because I was just like, fuck it. And one time a motorcycle cop actually went by, and I was just like, fuck, dude.
Did he look at you?
They looked at me, but then they just surprisingly went past me, and I was like, oh, so this is fine.
He probably didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, nah, not one bit. Yeah. But, you know, I used to live, like, right next to the Target, too.
Right off the 10?
Yeah.
Kinda
cool spot.
By, like, the Taco Bell.
Yeah, like that whole little plaza. And it was
My
cool,
tia lives, like, right down the street from there.
Hella close.
Like,
so
walking distance from there.
That's what's up. So, you know, we have that Baldwin Park connection, and that's how we're going to start the podcast. Welcome to the lunch table, everybody. Food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz. My next guest, man, you already heard her voice, and I've actually kept my eye on her for probably the past 3 years. Shout out to Gavlin, and shout out to Reverie, who I also had my eye on too. But then seeing who was in their circle, I found my next guest, who has this album out called Sena Ave, which recently dropped in March.
Yes.
Vel the Wonder, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Woo. I've seriously had my eye on you for a long-ass time, and I don't know if you know, but, like, whenever I used to write blog posts, you would, like, retweet it like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd just be like, yo, like, she's really cool, because not a lot of artists tend to do that too often anymore. Some artists, I feel like, are just, like, too cool to do that type of shit.
No, I like articles.
Yeah.
I like writing pieces and stuff, especially if they're, like, in my favor.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, I was actually just listening to the project, and, you know, your song Frutas, congrats, too, because that just hopped on Euphoria.
Yes, it did.
Have you got to watch the show yet?
You know what? I'm going to be super honest. I have not watched the show. I don't even have HBO, and I haven't watched the show. I've been waiting to watch the show so I can binge it, like the whole season. I like to do, like, season binges sometimes when the time comes. But I haven't watched the show. I did see the clip of where it came out.
Okay.
Fourth Beats actually was, like, the first person to send it to me. He produced the albums.
What was the scene?
She was talking to, I want to say she's talking to her mom.
Okay.
It's like a,
Zendaya's
it seemed like
to
a
her
very,
mom.
It seems like a very, like, intimate scene, like, where they're having, like, a discussion. It was like a moment scene. So it was cool to hear it playing in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's tight. I will say this, though. Like, me and my girl watch Euphoria, and it is probably one of the most graphic shows I'd ever seen in life. I'm talking about, like...
Like, really graphic?
I've never seen so many penises
on
a television show.
I think
like,
I heard
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it is crazy.
I heard that it was an amazing show.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt one bit of it. And I heard that the music on the show was, like, the best part of it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
You know, Frutas is on there.
But I am looking forward to watching the whole season.
But that must have, like, spiked your plays up so much, though.
Dude, I'm still tripping, like, every day I look, and it grows, like, about, like, 5,000 to 10,000 more from my plays on the song and my plays on, like, my whole profile. I jumped to, like, 500%.
That's crazy.
From landing on that playlist.
So did you, like, submit it to Euphoria, or did they kind of just pick it up? Like, how'd that happen?
So I have a distribution deal with Create Music Fam.
Oh, shout out Create, man. Shout out
yeah.
Carl Legret, you dig?
Shout out Mark Hill. Hey. So they had let me know when I submitted La Sena, they had let me know that they were planning on submitting it to Euphoria because Euphoria had already been looked at. This is prior to them airing episode 1, but they were looking for quote unquote real hip hop. So they were like, oh yeah, this fits the category. So just to let you know, we're gonna submit it. But that was in March, and then in July I was in New York, and they texted me that it had landed.
That's crazy.
On episode 7, I was like, oh. I kind of actually forgot all about it. But it was so
But then
cool.
Who would have known Euphoria would be one of the biggest shows to pop off this summer?
Exactly. I mean, that was their call. Like, they're a great team to work with. They kind of already, like, saw the future for that show. I mean, Drake is, like, the executive producer for that show, so I wouldn't doubt it would be anything less than great. But that was, like, the coolest thing that happened to me this year.
Yeah, well, you know, congrats to you. Like, that's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you so much.
So I'm listening to Frutas, right? And what I'm imagining is, like, you see somebody on the street like selling the fruit. Was that
Okay.
really like was that the inspiration behind that song?
Actually, it was like kind of like based off of a memory, an experience that I had. I got to visit Havana, Cuba.
Okay.
In November of
You're
last
Cuban?
year. No.
Okay.
But that's why I say Cubana in that song, because it was just I had got to visit Cuba, and I was there for about a week, and the place that I stayed at had like a big outside terrace, and we stayed at an Airbnb, but the host, she would actually, like, obviously you pay her in the morning, but she would cook breakfast, and she would serve huge plates of fruit, and she would cut it up. And I'm talking about, like, it wasn't like she cut up pineapple.
Yeah.
She cut up like 8 different types of fruit. Like, to this day, some of that fruit I've never even like had over here. Like, it was like some fruit I've never seen before. And that was like the first portion of the breakfast. We would eat a huge plate of fruit and drink natural juice.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would have like a fried egg with like maybe some ham or something.
Whoa, that's insane.
Mm-hmm. I've actually never told that story either, so you're the first person to
Hey,
know
man,
the
we got the
backstory.
exclusive, All I have to do
You're
is ask
first
a
here to
question.
hear the backstory on that song.
But so, like, I'm assuming that they gave you that specific order of food because it helps with the digestive system, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm for multiple reasons. I think also because the country is like a poor country, they don't have a lot of access to food. Their food is very limited, and when I say limited, I mean like even like 95% of the restaurants we had gone to, like, they would only have a quarter of the menu was available, and it was like all the same thing, which is like bocadillos, which is like ham and cheese sandwiches, and then spaghetti, and like maybe some chicken and rice, but that was basically like a very small limited amount of food that they were offer. So I think it had to do with them not having, like, maybe she couldn't offer me like as much of this food, so she was offering me like the fruit and the eggs, which is what we had every morning. But it was really delicious. It was like extremely healthy.
Yeah.
And I had no problem eating all that food. I loved it. I felt really good. Started off my day really great. I would like run through the whole day and have all this energy.
Yeah.
So.
It kind of makes me feel a lot more thankful, being from the U.S. because we could go to a restaurant right now and then they're going to have like 5-6 pages of like hella different shit.
Absolutely. When I came back home, I realized, like, wow, like, they're so limited. They really only get so much. And then they have lines to go into the markets, too, because I think you're only allowed to buy so much food for the day.
At one time, wow. That's because they're so limited on the resources. That's
and all
so
of their,
crazy.
like, government offices, like, buildings were like that, too, like, to get into the bank and, like, clinics. There was, like, long lines outside. And so it was a very emotional trip. Like, I had a great time, and I also felt like sad for the country, but I was very happy to be there. It was such a beautiful place.
Yeah. Now, was that your first time out of the country?
No, that was just my first time in Cuba. I've been out of the country
where else have you been?
Multiple times.
Well, I mean, like, you two are everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's like such a broad question for me to ask.
I didn't do a show in Cuba. Cuba was like my vacation. But I've toured in France. I've been to Paris. I've been to Lyon. I've been to this other part of France, South France, somewhere by the water. I always forget the name of it, but somewhere in South France, another city. I've been to Vienne in France, which is like a really tiny city. And then I've been to, that's just France. I've been to all over Spain, to Madrid, Valencia, to Barcelona. I've been to Ibiza. I've been to...
You take a pill in Ibiza?
I don't want to talk about that.
She's like, next question.
I've been to Japan. I went to Yokohama and Tokyo.
So question, all these places you name, English is not the primary language. How is hip hop received there? Because you're like nitty gritty boom bap hip hop.
Yeah. I think the rest of the world looks at America and they love what we do here. Especially Japan. They're like, I feel like they're stuck in the 90s. I know I'm talking really low, sorry.
She was like, yeah, you saw me like turn up the gain just a little bit. Now you good.
they love hip hop. They love boom bap. Surprisingly enough, there's like a strong demand out of country for boom bap, like anything
Really?
like East Coast sound, which I have like a particular East Coast sound, even though I'm a West Coast baby. They love it. Like they eat it up.
That's so
I
crazy.
actually feel like I don't hear a lot of trap when I leave the country. I feel like
Yeah.
trap is like what we have going on here.
And trap is still trying to like make its way out there, though.
Yeah,
It's kind of.
I mean, I do definitely see it more now, but from when I was out of the country like 3-4 years ago, not at all.
Well, you know, it's interesting because whenever I see cats like yourself or even like Demrick or Gavlin like do tours, a lot of your tours are outside of the United States, and I
Yeah.
really couldn't help but think of like, why do you guys do that? But then it makes sense that like the real consumers of boom bap are outside of the United States
There's
right
a
now.
huge demand for boom bap sound hip hop out of the U.S.
Yeah.
Definitely, Europe is like a big marketplace, and I think like Japan also.
Yeah. So then amongst like all the places you've been to, like Japan, France, and all that, like what was your favorite spot to tour at?
To tour, I don't know. Honestly, I had so much fun in like each place. I like Mexico a lot because
Yeah?
they have really good food. They have like the best food, and it's like super cheap, so I feel rich when I'm out there.
Nice.
But I would say probably Spain.
Spain?
Spain because it's in Europe. It's a Spanish-speaking country. I feel like it's the cheapest country in all of Europe. Like Europe is a really expensive place to go, but Spain is like more like less expensive. It's very beautiful. It's by the water, and I've managed to accumulate like so many friends there, and I've gotten to like make music with artists out there.
That's crazy. Like who?
I have a song with this a Spanish MC. His name is Follone. He's really big. He's a lot bigger than me. He's like huge in Latin America. And then I've made a song with this beat maker called Chronic Sound, which they do like a lot of dance hall there. So he's like a dance hall producer, but we made like a boom bap song together.
Damn. So then how did you link up with, I'm really going to butcher his name, Follone?
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 No, you did great.
Oh, I see, you know?
Follone, okay, so actually that's a pretty interesting story. My homie is a Spanish rap battler. His name is Denter. Shout out to Denter. He reached out to Follone. Actually, we were in the living room kicking it one day, and we were playing YouTube, and he started putting on Follone's music on YouTube. I thought he was really dope, and I had just kind of mentioned like, I would want to make a song with him, and he actually reached out to him, and this was before Follone had like really blew up.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, I'll do it, and when I got out there, he was like already, he had already like quadrupled his numbers, but he was so cool. He was so humble. Like, he had no problem linking up with me. Like, we actually like got to kick it, and we made music together, and it was awesome.
How many songs do you think you guys made together?
We only made one.
There you go.
But,
all you need is one.
All I need is one. He came out to the U.S., and we have mutual connections here in California, so I got to film a music video out with him out here when he got.
Oh, nice. Well, shout out to Fiona, man. Like that, I need to hear that record before we leave.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, my verse is tight. And
Yeah.
He killed it.
So, what was it like for you growing up in Baldwin Park? Because I really only spent probably a good year there.
Okay.
And I wasn't actually like in the city
there,
that much. Yeah.
Baldwin Park was a trip. It's like a lot of places in Southern California. It's definitely gentrified over the years, which actually was in BP last Friday for an art show. And I was talking to this girl who she just grew up on the opposite side of town. There's just like, basically the town is split into two sides, which is like north side and east side. And she grew up on the east side, I grew up on the north side. And
So which side was I on where the Target is?
You were on the east side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that
like when you told me where you live, I was like the first thing that popped in my mind.
East side.
That you were from the east.
So is the east side more like chill than the west side, or
than the north side?
or the north side?
I think it's more chill.
Okay.
Personally, I think it's more chill. But I grew up on the north side, so I probably know more
Yeah.
shit that goes down right there. But it's definitely changed so much in like the last 15 years. It feels like a whole new city. Like they I went to that art show. It's in a brand new arts and recreational building that they built right there next to City Hall. So I feel like they're trying to clean up the city, make it like more family oriented, which is like a tiny city in the corner. You know, it's like in between the 605 and the 10, but it was very like highly gang related when I was growing up there. But I thought it was like hella normal, and I thought like 15 people living in one house was hella normal.
Wow.
Yeah, because everyone I knew and went to school with all had primos that banged and all like lived in a house with like 3 tias, you know. So I thought it wasn't until I actually left Baldwin Park where I realized that I had a different childhood than other people.
Well, I mean, how many people were in your household?
Well, my immediate family, we all lived in the back room, which is like me, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother. So there's like 5 people in a back room that was like the city didn't even know that room existed. And then in the house, it was so many people always leaving and staying. I couldn't even tell you how many people lived in the main part of the house.
That's crazy.
Just like always, like whoever was out of jail and whoever needed a spot to crash for them. My grandma, rest in peace, my grandma, she took care of everybody in her family. So
rest in peace, Grandma.
Yeah.
So, I mean, seeing as how, like, I mean, it seemed like your house was fully impacted with hella people. And,
Absolutely.
like, a lot of people were going in and out. And you had a lot of homies who had people living in their houses who, like, were banging and whatnot. Like, were you ever a part of that scene? Or did you kind of just, like, stay away from that?
I got to stay away from it. I saw how my family was. It didn't strike me. I saw, like, the dudes that grew up on the same block, same age as me. I saw how they started getting into trouble. It didn't really interest me. I was a bookworm when I was really young. Hella bookworm. Didn't want to get in trouble. Like, from like all of elementary school, I feel like all I did was get good grades and be on the honor roll. And I was super shy. Super shy.
That ain't nothing to be shy about, though.
I was
Good for
like
you.
mad shy. Like, I didn't even want anybody to talk to me. I was super shy. Just did my homework. But when I got to middle school,
You blossomed. Everything just changed.
like the whole
The growth
world,
spurt.
my poor mother, like she probably was like, "What happened to my baby?" Yeah, it changed for me. Like, boys started noticing me, which was like, what? Like, you think I'm cute?
I'm over here just reading my book. What you mean?
I started playing. Well, I grew up playing sports, but then I got like into middle school. It became more serious for me. I played hardball, baseball, and I played basketball on the A team. So
Damn, you didn't even say softball. You said
I played
baseball. That's crazy.
I played hardball, baseball on an all boys league for like 14 years.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was
Damn,
really
good for
really
you.
good. Yeah,
Dodgers fan?
A Dodgers fan,
Okay,
definitely.
there we go.
Born and raised.
Well, I'm from San Francisco, so you know
Giants.
I got to rep. Just one time.
All right, I'll see you in the parking lot.
No, Dodgers are good. Dodgers are good though. Giants ain't been doing shit for the past couple of years, so we.
Nah. And we had that incident a few years back.
Yeah, you know.
We are in the past.
Anyways. So
But-
then, like.
Yeah, I played sports. I got in middle school. Actually, was the year that I got into graffiti. I had some girls that were a little bit older than me kind of put me on to doing graph, which is really awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it was like life changing for me. And then I did not realize what I was doing in the moment, but in 8th grade, because we used to switch classes, like it'll be like group A, group B, so we'll like be in English class and math class, and then during the next period, we would switch, right? So they wouldn't say like which level, they would just say A and B, but really A was like all the smart kids and B was like the not so, like the more troublemakers. And of course, I was like in the smart class. And I used to, when we would switch periods, I would switch papers with this dude that was in like the travieso class. And initially they were rap battles. Like, that's what I was doing. And I mean, back then, if you told me I was rapping, I would tell you, no, I'm not. I'm just writing rhymes against this guy.
That's insane.
But that's what I was doing. I would write rhymes against him. And of course, my rhymes were so dope. Shout out to him,
Y'all,
Angel.
so y'all weren't even battling verbally. You guys were battling
we're
through
writing.
paper.
Yeah,
That's
we're writing.
so
And then
crazy.
we would switch papers. And I wore glasses in middle school. I remember he would say the same shit. Like, you're ugly, you have glasses, like, whatever, bro.
You're like, well, I read the dictionary, so I'm gonna like come at you with hella different words you don't even know.
I mean, I'm almost positive my rhymes are fire. Like, I wish I still had those papers. But
Yeah,
that's why I was doing, like, I got into graffiti and writing those little rhymes, like, in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Or in middle school.
So then how, like, big, to what extent was your graffiti going to? Because I remember growing up in San Francisco, so I would just see some people on the bus just, like, tagging on the bus. And then I would see some people paint, like, actual murals and, like, go ham.
Everything from the smallest dust tags are my favorite. I'm gonna tell. Let's let the
break it
audience
down.
know right now.
Wait, what's a dust tag?
They're called dusties. Dusties are my favorite because all you need is your finger. So if you're walking past a wall and it has a lot of dust, usually like those big, like let's say like the for sale buildings that have like the big windows in the front that nobody's occupied for like 5-10 years and they're full of dust. Usually I would get a boosty from like whoever was around me and I would climb to the top and just catch like a quick little dust tag and it would rock forever because if you think about it, like if you catch a tag with a can or with like a streak, they're going to eventually buff it, but no one is going to go out of their way to like dirty their hand. They're just going to leave it. So dust tags end up like rocking forever.
Those are like the homies who don't clean their cars, then you just end up drawing penises on their
back.
cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why I always have a clean car. I hate when people ride on my car.
So what was like?
But I mean, I did everything from the smallest tags to doing like some super drunk shit. This is back when I used to drink.
We gotta do this.
I don't drink anymore. Shout out to everybody who doesn't drink.
Shout out to Sobriety.
It's just sobriety. I mean, not full sobriety, but
you know,
partial.
Dabble into it.
But I would like catch tags on the freeway to like anywhere, actually, anytime.
Yeah.
Because that was just the thing to do. To like painting huge freight trains. Trains are my favorite. Like I would love to paint trains. To now I get to paint like big murals with like all these other dope chicks. It's like the coolest thing ever.
So let me ask you this: like why though?
Why?
Like why?
Why the need to?
Yeah, why the need to like keep on like tagging places and putting your name all over the city?
You know what? I don't know. It was like it was honestly I think it's just a lifestyle that had embedded into me, and I don't even have any like older siblings or older primos or cousins or anybody that did graffiti. It was something that I picked up from like my environment and from my own homies, and it was like the most fulfilling thing to me. You know, I obviously like I went through school and I wouldn't say I was like the smartest person, but I was pretty smart. I had good grades, but college didn't strike me, nor did anybody in my school encourage me to go to college. So I felt like I might have slipped through the cracks as far as like continuing to go to school. So after high school, I just was like running the streets, like tagging shit, drinking, smoking, like not really having any goals or desires to do anything but like fuck around, be with my homies, which I feel like a lot of happens to a lot of people.
A lot of us get caught up into that. Like that's that's a huge reason why I left San Francisco is because like,
felt like you
being
were
with my homies so much, I'm just like I love you guys, but fuck you guys.
Yeah,
like, I need to get away
mean,
from
eventually,
you for a bit.
like it's cool, like when you're younger and you're going through that, but eventually you do have to like catch a grip. You do gotta catch a grip, which is part of the reason why I stopped drinking. Which I don't put that on anybody. Like to this day, like my homegirls love drinking, and I'm actually the one that reminds them, like, yo, it's almost 2:00. Like if you're gonna go get somewhere, we gotta go now. You know. Yeah. But for me personally, like my journey, I needed to stop drinking in order to catch a grip on my life. And simultaneously, crazy enough, like the month that I stopped drinking was the first month that I like wrote my first like 11 bars and recorded it. So it was kind of like
there we go.
Like a switch off, you know?
That's how I knew you were still drunk, because you couldn't even get to the full 16.
Yeah,
you did the 11.
nor did I know that there was like supposed to be 16 bars.
Like, you didn't even know there was a formula to it yet. That's
Mm-mm.
crazy.
So, like, all my first music from that I made within, like, the first 2 years, all I used to talk about was, like, tagging and getting fucked up. And that was it. Because that was, like, my life, you know? But, yeah, I don't like paint as much anymore, but it's embedded in me forever, you know? Like, I still catch myself, like, writing my name. And, like, my whole thing now is, like, putting stickers up because I get to have, like, my socials and, like, people get to read, like, oh, whose sticker is this?
Yeah.
So when I leave the country, like, I'm constantly putting stickers up everywhere.
No, I feel you. I remember doing a show back in San Francisco, and literally someone had stuck one of the lunch table stickers, like, on the mirror. And, like, every time people passed by that mirror in the females' restroom, I didn't put it in there. It just so happens to be in there. They tagged me, like, yo, your shit's in here. I'm like, yo, that's kind of cool. Like, in a sense, you're kind of, like, everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, to this day, I have people send me pictures of my slaps in Paris. I think it's so cool.
That's ill. And you call them slaps?
Slaps, yeah. Stickers.
See, because in the Bay, it's like slaps is like something that, like,
no, you slap
it's a
that
song
ass.
that slaps. No. See, now I don't know where your mind is.
Slap. Yeah, that
like,
shit
like
slaps.
music, that shit
yeah,
slaps.
That's what I meant. Just slaps. Yeah,
but then the
slaps.
stickers are slaps for you.
They're called slaps,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what's up. So then you stop drinking, and then you write your first 11 bars. When did you start taking rap, like, super serious?
Right there. Right at once I recorded the 11 bars and I came out of the room, which, mind you, it's like my homie's closet, and this whole had like the tiniest room in South Central, and there was like 8 heads in the room, so it made it even like smaller.
Yeah.
And it was like a warm summer night, like, so I came out the room, my whole crew is sitting right here, and like my boy and like a couple of homies from the crew, they used to already record music. So that's the reason why he even had the setup going. I hadn't done anything music related. The only thing that I was doing up to this point was freestyling.
Yeah.
And I could freestyle like really good at that point. So I wrote some bars just kind of messing around, and I recorded it, and then we came back out and they're smoking a blunt. They passed it to me, and then they played the what I had just recorded out loud, and I was at that exact moment that I knew whoever was coming out of that speakers right now was a hard ass bitch.
You were just like,
I was like, wow, I'm fucking cool. It sounded so good. Like all my syllables since the beginning, like that's what I can hold to my name is ever since the very beginning. I've never written anything that was junk. Like, all my syllables always lined up. Like, and I don't do, like, that kind of rhymes. Like, my shit always rhymes. Yeah. And my content, like, give or take, was always there, you know? So it was that moment where I knew, like, okay, wow, I want to do this. This is really cool. But I didn't take it serious as a career. I took it more as, like, it's something that I think I could be really good at.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a few years later, I was late to my own show where I realized, like, I should actually be doing this and quit my job. So I did quit my job eventually.
What were you working as, like, so then what were you doing as, like, your main job at that time if you weren't taking rap, like, as a career yet?
You know what? I had, like, a couple jobs. I've always had a couple jobs because I like to make money so I could fuck around, you know? So that was it. I was not saving my money. I suggest saving your money. I was not saving my money.
I mean, to be fair, they don't teach us how to save money.
They don't.
In school,
that is,
bruh.
like, something that I like to advocate for because nobody prepared me for what life really entails.
They just teach you, like, yo, you can get these jobs to make money.
Yeah,
not knowing
or like
that you
some
have to
trade,
save all this shit.
like some trade job shit. Like, but anyways, I was working 2 jobs. So I actually worked at the mall. I used to work at Victoria's Secret.
Hey.
Yeah, but I was, really good at my job. I used to, like, be a bra specialist, which basically means, like, I would be in the fitting room and I would, like, fit the women coming in. And it wasn't, like, some weird creepo shit. It was, like, legit, like, I was helping women. And from that job, I feel like I was able to communicate really well with people.
Yeah.
I'm like a little bit more easygoing when it comes to communication with people. So I think that job really helped me, especially communicating with women especially with them being like half naked in front of me. It's a very like personal experience. They don't want to go with just anybody, but I was like so good at my job. Like I'd always get everybody to.
Well, I also feel like
them.
the best rappers are salespeople.
Okay.
Because you know what I mean? Because you need to be able to like sell.
Or like people person.
Yeah, like people.
Yeah, they should definitely be people.
Because you need to be able to like sell your story to somebody. Without them like seeing you.
I feel that definitely. And then I also was a bud tender. I worked like multiple shops all over LA. Yeah.
I don't know. I never knew if I could do the bartending job. It just seemed like you deal with drunk people all the time.
Well, it was a bud tending job, so it was for weed.
Oh, bud tending.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tight.
Not bartender. I could never work as a bartender. I hate drunk people.
Do you smoke a lot of weed?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, don't be shit. It's legal. No. We're in California. We good.
Every day. Not all day. Like for instance, I haven't smoked today. We should have hit the pen before we started too. Oh, then I wouldn't be as talkative probably. For like when I have something to do, I try not to smoke weed until after. I use it as like a good job, pat on the back. Like right after this, I'll probably go to the studio and like just smoke.
Amen.
Yeah.
So, I have this discussion with my people at the radio station a lot, and to the consensus amongst like 3 men, right? It just seems like a really good time for women in hip hop. Okay. Because Nicki held, the torch for a while. Forever. Then you have Cardi, but then you have like City Girls and Megan Thee Stallion, and obviously in the LA area, I consider it to be like you, Gavlin, and Reverie. But like
and Bimes and Gifted Gab, they're really dope.
Yeah. But like, so like, what's your take on like why do you feel like now women are really like storming into the industry right now? Because that record that you guys had together, you, Gavlin, Reverie, I think that was like a moment that I can remember where I was like, wow, like we need more of this shit. Yeah. Like more women working together on records. Yeah. Women.
I can agree to that, definitely. In mainstream, I can't answer particularly. Maybe labels weren't looking for women rappers as much as they are now because it's like a quote unquote fad. Nicki did. I felt like there was a time frame where Nicki was like one of the only ones kind of holding up for mainstream as far as mainstream hip hop goes. But since the early age, there's always been female MCs or MCs who happen to be women. Like from the early age, my favorite MCs from back then just happened to be all women. And it's not that I relate to their music more because I don't feel like they rap directly towards women either, which I don't feel like I do either. I try to stay away from like using like her or she for that reason too. I want people to be able to relate to my music without me feeling like I'm just talking about girl shit all day.
That makes sense.
But like MC Light obviously was one of my favorites. Bahamadia is one of my favorites. Hurricane G, Queen Latifah.
Ooh, UNITY.
Huge favorite of mine.
Blessing song.
And then then I think like Trina and Da Brat, and then there was a time frame where like there wasn't a lot of women making hip hop music, or if there was, they just weren't giving the glorification that Nicki Minaj did when she came on, which I think a lot of people reacted to her because she was one of the first female MCs to come out and not act like a dude. She kind of expressed her femininity in rap, and I think that gave her like the push. The push.
Well, that's why I think a lot of the women in hip hop now, like shout out to Megan Thee Stallion, she's really doing her thing. But it's like a lot of her music are geared like towards women, women, right? But then we have MCs like yourself who can just like tell like a whole story that has nothing to do with like female empowerment per se, right? So do you find yourself in like a difficult spot knowing that like what the mainstream is looking for is more towards like women this, shake your ass, do this, do that?
I don't find it difficult because I'm not looking to do with what they're doing necessarily. And even though I don't rap like that, it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy music like that. Like Fever, which is Meg Thee Stallion's latest mixtape, as something that I bumped for like a whole month straight. It was fire. Like the production was fire. I love that she reminds me of how I used to rap when I first started rapping, which was like no breath.
When you were like
no
passing the notes
room,
still.
no room for like any breath. Like she's in like
all over the track.
All her bars are like full, like her songs are full of bars, which I think is so cool because you could do like that breathable track, which is like just some bars, or like there was a moment where there was like 3 worded bars, which I'm not a fan of at all. But she came in with like multiple syllables, and I'm a fan of like doing wordplay like that. So I think she's really dope. City Girls, I don't really care for. I don't think they stay on beat. I'm being honest with you.
No, not one bit.
I don't think they stay on beat.
But it works for them.
They're like the blue face of like women.
I've never heard that comparison.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Exclusive.
But again, like it's an anthem. I feel like it's like less about the content and more about like the feeling. And you can't knock that City Girls or like girls that rap like that provide a feeling and a strong one at that. Even if I'm listening to it, doesn't mean that I'm gonna go to the club and like make some dude pay me money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not interested in doing any of that. But I get to enjoy the music, and it provides me a feeling, so I'm not mad at it at all.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Seems like you have your head in such a right spot right now.
Yeah. Now I am, because I've been doing this for a little while. I'm a little bit older now.
How many
I'm a
years
little bit
you
more
putting
experienced. I think I'm like on my 7th year.
7 years. That's
I've been
crazy.
making music since 2012.
Yeah, so 7 years. That's nuts. Wow, that's crazy. So how many albums have you had in between?
La Sena was my fourth studio album.
Speaking of the album, right? Where did you get that photo from?
Oh, my mommy?
Yeah, is that your mom? Oh, that's such a dope photo.
Yeah, so I had made some T-shirts of the album, but I sold out, and she kept asking me, like, I want a large, but I just was not ordering it, like, being a mean daughter. I just forgot to order it.
Your mom's then she even
told me, like, yeah, she was like, well, you didn't ask me if you could use that picture.
She's like,
me.
I need my 50%.
So I want my T-shirt. I just ordered it for her last week. I was like, okay, I'm going to get you your T-shirt.
That's a blessing. Is La Sena Ave like the street
in
that
Baldwin
you
Park.
That's the street you grew up on?
That's the street that was my grandma's house, was on La Sena Avenue. That was the house that I lived in, the back house of my immediate family.
Yeah. It's a really good album because like it goes from like things that are a little bit more up tempo, and then it slows down a little bit towards the end. I forgot what song it was, but I think you talked about like one of your homies passing away or something, and it was like a 5-minute song, and I was like, you're very brave for letting the track breathe for that long, because those elements in hip hop we just do not see anymore. Like you said, like there's songs that are like a minute long. There's songs that are like 2 minutes long. That's what people can digest.
Yeah, right now, especially right now, we're in a very like quick times. We want everything right in front of us. Right now, we don't want to spend a lot of time listening to something, but songs like that, I feel they're still important because they provide a place for people to feel something other than like a quick injection of some whatever. And I feel like they're good album songs, which is like my main focus as a recording artist is my albums. That's probably why I take the most time to create them. I put all my whole self onto an album with like no holds barred.
How long did it take for you to create the album?
That's a great question. I actually had some songs on there that had been recorded for like 3 years.
Which ones?
Like Mr. Green had been recorded forever. That's the one that has the sax in the beginning. And then I think like Anonymous had been recorded, but at the last minute we switched the beat. So that was pretty cool.
Okay.
There was like a couple that had been recorded like years prior, but the majority, like half the album was recorded in like 6 months or less.
See, even that's
like
kind of
even
quick.
like the last like 2 months I recorded like 3 or 4 songs. and like wrote them and recorded them.
Yeah.
Because I was in a, like, I tend to not know when I'm creating an album. I tend to just make songs. But then when I realize I have something going on and I'm in album mode, then I get even more creative.
And you're kind of like piecing everything together, seeing like, oh,
It's
this
like
can fit
creating
here,
like
this
a
can fit
like
here.
a story, like a huge
Yeah.
storyline. It's like a movie.
So I'm listening to the song Vinyl Frontier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said something extremely interesting.
Oh,
And
God,
I wrote it down. You wrote it down, or I wrote it down. And you were talking about how you are a light-skinned brown girl who won't forget about your privilege. And I shit you not, I replayed it like 3-4 times just to really try to figure out what that meant, but I couldn't figure it out. Like brown girl privilege, light-skinned brown girl privilege. Like,
yes, a woman of color with light skin, and I get a privilege from that, from having lighter skin.
I mean, what privileges do you get?
Like me that noticing right away. I don't want to say like my success is based off of my skin color, but am I gonna deny like getting maybe opportunities faster than someone of darker skin color? It's a huge possibility. I'm not ignorant to that fact. It's something that, especially like as I've grown older, we realize like how fucked up our country is, especially to people with darker skin or people of color. And then people of color with darker skin have it even worse.
Yeah.
A lot of my darker skin sisters, like, they don't get maybe as much shine as they do for that reason. So it's something that I try to always remember, not be ignorant of that fact.
Now we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. Because, I mean, if I could relate it back to something, it's like in the Philippines, right? Like, I'm not that dark, right?
Yeah.
But, like, in the Philippines, you got motherfuckers who are hella dark, and especially, like,
because it's by the water.
Yeah, it's by the water. And, like, so what they have over there is, like, this skin cream that kind of lightens you up. And I kept on looking at, like, you know, like, some of my relatives, like, why are you doing that? Like, brown is beautiful as fuck.
It is. I often, like, my dad is a lot darker than me, and my sister is darker than me, and I get, like, jealous of their skin color. I wish I was, like, more brown. I'm pretty brown, but I even, like, would like to have more brown skin. I almost feel like if I was more brown, I'd be accepted by my people even more, too.
Yes. Oh, my God. It's so crazy that you said that, because there really is that divide, because even in, like, the black community, like, there's, like, dark skins and, like,
they
light
have
skin.
their,
I'm just like, why? Like, there's a clear divide between that. But then I think it goes back to what you're saying, is that, like, because you're a little bit more light-skinned, you have a little bit more privilege than the dark-skinned people who are, like, the same ethnicity as you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This divide is nuts.
Yeah, it is. It's sad. It's unfortunate. But I mean, whatever I can do with my platform to bring light and acknowledgement to, like, what's going on around us and, like, how we should not be acting like that, then I'm going to try and do that.
Well, with that said, FDT, you know what I mean? Shout out to YG.
Oh, honey.
August 21st. I felt like there were so many, like, there were
That's
so
so
many...
crazy that you bring that song up. I don't know. Just,
oh, really?
It's a very complex song.
It is a complex song, because I'm over here... First of all, you're telling a story about, like, a girl going to, like, a club with a dude. And then, like, as it gets towards the end, you're playing, like, news skits of...
shootings.
Like, shootings and whatnot. But then I kept on thinking about it, like... Were those, like, multiple shootings that you were implementing into that song? Or was that coming down to, like, one particular thing?
When I had wrote the song, I think I don't want to, like, mess this up, but I think it was the Pulse nightclub shooting that I had in my mind when I was writing it, which I think that was the Orlando in Florida, the shooting that happened there. But literally, like, as I was writing the song, like, during that same week, the bar shooting in Thousand Oaks had just happened. Yeah. And it wasn't like a week before that, another shooting had just happened. And obviously that's something that we're dealing with extremely
it
in
seems
this
like
country.
damn near every day now.
It's very sad. I, like, even get like emotional thinking about it. But it's something that we are dealing with every day, and it's like an American problem. I feel like I don't think no other countries have as much mass shootings as we do. So that story was just, I kind of just wanted to like bring that social issue up, but in a story form and a relatable story form at that. So the first verse is written from of like a girl's perspective, which was kind of just being like me and my homegirls. Like it wasn't one particular person, but it was supposed to be like somebody like who I would know going to the club. And then the second verse was like a dude that liked the girl, just wanted to meet her at the club, and they both lose their life being in this mass shooting. And then the third verse was the mom trying to find out where her daughter was because she had saw on the news that there had just been a shooting at her daughter's favorite bar.
Yeah.
So that was where that story came from, which I had written actually in one sitting, and without realizing what I was doing, I just wrote it all out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Have you had anybody like personally affected by these mass shootings?
Thank the Lord above, I have not. But it doesn't mean that it does not affect me or the country that I live in, or people around me might have been affected by that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like something that does lay on my chest.
Yeah. It was crazy because, you know, seeing all these mass shootings happening, I think when it hit me really hard was when every year we have this festival in Vegas, right? The iHeartRadio Festival. Yeah. And I had just worked it that weekend last year. Or maybe like 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Because I was there that weekend too.
That's crazy. Because literally the following weekend was when that mass shooting happened. And as soon as I heard that news, like, I had not broken down so quickly because I turned to my girl and I was just like, yo, like...
You could have been there.
I literally could have been there because I was just there last week.
I was there, like, hours before. Like, I had played a show on Saturday in Vegas, and I was still in Vegas when it happened. I was actually, like, in the car driving home when my phone blew up. And we didn't realize what had just happened, but we were at MGM, and we were at, like, in that vicinity, like, around 7 o'clock. And then we had left, and I think the shooting happened at 9, something like that. So it was only, like, a couple hours. I had not even been on the road for, like, an hour before everybody was texting me and calling me to ask me if we were okay. So that affected me, like, crazy. I was upset for a while.
Yeah. Kind of feel like... I mean, I felt like my heart dropped at that point. What about you?
Same. I think I was, like, confused, obviously, like, scared for the people who had just been at my show. I wasn't sure if anybody was at that show because it was a concert, you know? It might have been, like, not a hip-hop concert, but still, it's music. It could have been anything. Yeah.
Well, you know, shout out to you for sharing that story. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, and also creating that song because, I mean, personally, I don't think tweets are, like, the most effective thing in the world to try to, like, get that news out. But, like, when we can actually solidify something like a piece of content to share with other people and actually have conversations about these things, like, I'm hoping that we just become more aware about, like, our situations and stuff like this doesn't happen again. Because I was watching, like, a whole podcast about Bernie Sanders was talking about how to stop like all these mass shootings, and he was just like, there's honestly no way that you can. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take the guns, like, you can't do this, you can't do that, like, you can only just
pray.
You can only just hope that, like, none of this shit happens anymore. So, you know, yeah. Well, that was deep. Yeah. Very hard segue. Yes. You just performed with Eddy Zuko. Yes. Not too long ago. How'd that concert go?
Shout out to Eddy Zuko, the bird. The concert was amazing. Like, one of my best shows ever. It was so crazy to realize that I could bring that many people out to a free concert in the park in LA. Like, growing up, I used to always go to Baldwin Park. Has this park called Morgan Park. And they had, like, a back area by the senior citizens building. And it was, like, basically like a porch that had like some small seating. And I remember being very little and going to the park to watch free concerts with my mom and dad. So when I had got approached to perform at MacArthur Park for the free concerts, I was like so excited to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's something for the community. It's not only that, but it's something to bring the family out, you know, which a lot of my shows and a lot of hip hop shows are not directed towards kids, which I don't think they should be, because I'm not, even my lyrics tend to be a little, you know,
sometimes
crazy
vulgar.
sometimes. But for that particular show, it was directed towards family. So I pushed that a lot. I wanted people to bring out their kids, because I don't realize how many parents play my music to their young children, but
Really?
I get so many videos of them like porching their kid in front of the huge TV, and their kid is like, and they're like,
cute.
He gets so happy every time I put you on. I'm like, well, what song are you playing for him? Because I don't play him all the songs. But it was so wonderful. I did not realize that it was going to be that impactful, but it was amazing. Like, I came out and I felt like a superstar. You know, everybody was riling for me. There was so many like little girls in the crowd in the front row. Like, I could not help but like kneel down and rap to them.
Yeah, because you know, damn near you're kind of like their hero now.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to like be able to provide that, because I wish that I would have had that when I was younger. I did not have any direction or anybody to like be a role model for me, other than my parents. Of course, they tried as much as they could, but I would like to have had like a role model that I could have been able to see and think like, wow, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I'm able to provide that for them.
That's the beauty of it too. And I think like you kind of have to take that you can do it too kind of like loosely, because not everybody's going to be a rapper. You know what I mean?
Nor do I don't want everyone to think like, oh, you can come up and be a rapper too. But am I telling you that you can do whatever you want to do? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Even if you feel like you've hit like the lowest point in your life, it's actually easy for you now, because the only direction you can go from here is up.
Look at this girl, man.
Just
look.
Little gems.
Well, look at that shit. Some gems in there. Some frutas. You know what I mean? So then do you have, I know we spoke about this off camera, but so do you have like any songs in the can with Eddy Zuko?
Yes.
Just chilling?
Yes, we have a little bit of heat. Him and I got to go into the studio, I think it was like earlier this year. We made a song together, and it's honestly one of my favorite songs. Yeah? One of my favorite songs, like, as a collaboration, and it's something that I got to spit on. Like, I enjoy my rap so well. Like, I killed it. And he killed it. And it was so cool because we wrote it, like, on the spot together. And we didn't even have an engineer. I had to, like, record him. And so, like, I'm recording him, and I hear him through the speaker, and, like, he doesn't even know this, but I pulled out my phone and started recording him through the speaker. He's in the sound booth. So he can't see me or know that I'm doing this, but I'm recording him. I'm like, this sounds so good. Like, and I know how it usually tends to be. Like, you'll ask for a rough, but like, you won't get it bounced to you or anything for like 6 months. So I didn't want to wait that long to hear his part. So I recorded him. It's in my phone.
That's
it's like just like a video of the speaker, and like his first track's coming out of it. And
so, drop date? Are you guys dropping that?
That's him and his team. They are.
Shout out to Fredo.
Shout out to Fredo, to Edwin, A+ in general. But they have like they accumulated so much work, and he's gonna have a great rollout. Like he's gonna come out the gate with just ready to go. We filmed a video for the song already, and it was like I've never had that many outfit changes in a music video. I probably had like 12 different outfits.
Well, you know,
and he has like one outfit.
Well, because I've seen like his past music videos, and I'm like, bro, like whatever you got going on with Fredo is just like y'all are just going in with these music videos, man. So I can't wait to see that.
It's his song, but they actually wrote the guy who wrote the script. Shout out to Josh Foreman. He wrote it like as me being the star of the video. So I like have way more scenes than Eddy. Eddy is like, I want to tell you more about it, but it's super funny because it's kind of going to be like a funny, like cool video. Okay. But I
mean, what can you tell us?
Well, he's an orange in the video. Like, he's like an orange. That's
like an
Eddie.
actual orange.
Yeah. And then I'm like the rest of the video. But it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. Whenever it drops, I will be looking out for it.
Yes.
Everybody else look out for that too.
Yes.
Vel the Wonder, everybody. Where can everybody find La Sena Ave?
La Sena Avenue you can stream it on every downloading platform, Spotify, Apple. I personally use Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, all that. And my numbers are doing great right now.
Yeah,
I'm super happy about that. YouTube, I have all my music videos on YouTube, Vel the Wonder. My IG is at Vel Nine, BEL_NINE.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you. Why is it
Vel
Vel Nine?
So the whole music thing was a fluke. Like, it really wasn't anything that I dreamt of as a young child. I didn't want to like make music as a little girl. Like, I kind of stumbled into it. And again, my first element into hip hop was graffiti. Mm-hmm. So graffiti pretty much opened the gates for me as far as like becoming an MC.
Gotcha.
And mind you, I did graffiti for a solid like 7-8 years before I even recorded my first track. Yeah. So I definitely am like a person from the crowd. Like, I always remember, like, I used to be on the other side of the stage before I started performing. So I don't ever forget that, you know?
So why is it 9?
Oh, 9 came from the graffiti.
Okay, yeah. So you were Vel 9 during the graffiti days.
Yeah, like, it's kind of like a playoff of the name that I used to write in graph and, like, my crew name. So it's like a mixture of, like, the name that I wrote and one of my crews. Because I was trying to be, like, you know, like a silent partner in the back. I when I first came out, I didn't even like to show my face. That comes from like a graffiti mentality. Mm-hmm. So my first album, I don't have a picture of myself. I have a picture of myself, Hilarious. But I have a shoe covering my face. And the first music video I released, I painted my face, which the director at the time advised against it. He was like, "That's a stupid idea. Like, people are gonna know what you look like." But it ended up being like my #1 video on YouTube.
See, there you go, man. Fuck the system, man. This is the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz, Vel the Wonder, and we are out, everybody. Yay! So this is the first time we're doing this. There's a question I forgot to ask, but so, you know, how do you feel about like the black community in hip hop utilizing Latin inspired like sounds and words like Go Loco or AMBJ's Uno, Dos, Tres, y Tato?
That does not bother me one bit.
Yay.
One bit. Brown people have been capitalizing on the black community for a minute, whether it be music or sports or any entertainment. I think we should be able to share what we have going on without any like cultural appropriation. Like, obviously there is some things that I would never do that's from a black culture, but again, like, I'm in hip hop, right? I'm not gonna say that it's like only. I've actually had people tell me that that I'm just what is it, like a visitor in hip hop. I don't think that's true either. I think there's always been brown people around since the very beginning. I think brown people have always been united with black people in the making of hip hop. But I do not mind. I actually love that our black brothers get to use like Hispanic culture in their songs. It's beautiful. It's something that we can share. It's relatable. I like the trumpets. I love it. I'm a fan of it, and I hope that that's something that we could see more unity.
Amen to that. Peace out, everybody. For show.